Tired. I'm really, really sleepy and I'm tired. But that's okay because this is the life that I chose. This is absolutely the life that I chose. If I think back to the 17 years that I spent with one organization and another year and a half that I spent with them, with a whole other number one in their niche corporate organization, I have to think about this life that I have now as an entrepreneur and compare and contrast that with my life as a 9 to 5 middle management employee, right? And so let's look at that. I was really excited to be there. It was a company that I had been with, like I said, for 17 years. I didn't see myself retiring from there, but the work that I did, I loved. I love the people that I work with. I loved being able to go into the office and be able to teach people their life's career. Some people really did turn their job into a career. And so at that time, I was in middle management as a call center people leader. I had a team of individuals under me. I had been a supervisor for quite some time. I had the trust of leadership in the building, and they knew that if an employee was placed on my team, they were going to prosper and grow and get really good, customized, and intentional care and management. Or they could have been placed on my team and they were either going to be coached up or coached out. So I took my people leadership very, very seriously. Like I said, I was with the company for a very long time. I used to volunteer with them. I got married there, not to an employee, but I got married there. I had a child there. We spent time, through it was almost like a marriage, right? Through thick and thin, through sickness and health, till death do us part. But there came a day where I had to make a decision as to whether or not I was going to choose my family and the health and welfare of my daughter, or I was going to choose to stay there and make her suffer. And so I chose my family and uprooted them and moved back across the country in less than a year, only to get into a tech company, fantastic company, depending on where you worked in the organization. Learned a lot, met some really, really great people, ironically, none of which I talk to anymore. But I was part of the tech layoffs in the beginning of 2023, when every time you woke up in the morning, it was which tech company is laying off how many tens of thousands of individuals. And my company didn't lay off tens of thousands of individuals, but I was part of the 531 stateside layoffs. And so, I've never been laid off a day in my life. I always was able to choose where I went and who I worked for and was very intentional about the organizations that I worked with. But here I am in February of 23, early 50s, laid off. And I wore the heavy cloud and badge of I was laid off. I was laid off. I was laid off. And one day it occurred to me that I was being super negative about it, and that using the term laid off, and as truthful as it was negative and heavy for me. And so I chose to change the title. But I only changed the title after I really took a good hard look at how different my life has been since I've left the 9 to 5. I'll tell you, I just call myself promoted into entrepreneurship because it took me about a year to realize what a promotion in life not working for corporate America has been for me. I have had the opportunity to travel more than I've traveled in my entire life. I have met incredible people. I have all but quadrupled my overall skill set in as far as the books that I've read, the skills that I've acquired, and where I've ultimately landed, which has been a culmination of all of the experience and all of the skills that I gained in all of those years in corporate America, and I've been able to leverage that and become a at this point kind of sought after coach. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Candace. I'm an online business coach. I help to organize the visionary mind so that you can automate your process, increase your client engagement, and overall expand your business. And I've hit this point where people are really loving the coaching and the work that I'm doing with them because many of our entrepreneurs, me included, right in the very beginning, I was absolutely this individual where I had tons of ideas, so many ideas. If you saw the items that I have downstairs, you'd be like, yo. I have a very, very good friend of mine who, every time he asks me a question or has an idea of something that he wants to implement in his business, I go, oh, yeah, I could do that. I've got the machinery for that. And so he calls me the International Woman of Mystery because I've amassed so many skills and the ability to do things, make bookmarks, t-shirts, printed materials, website, like you name it. I've got all kinds of different things that I can do. But what I really love about where I'm at today is that I've finally gotten to the point where I've settled into who I am by paying attention to what people come to me for and what's really felt good to me as an individual, and that is coaching other individuals in spaces where I've got previous experience. The quote says, "You are best set up to serve your former self." And same time last year, if not, well, okay, so I'll give myself a little bit more credit. So it's been about a year and a half. Is that right? Yeah, about a year and a half that I've been laid off and promoted into entrepreneurship, where, it's taken some time, right? So, my advice to you, if I was going to give you some advice today, which I am obviously because I'm about to tell you, is to be kind to yourself and be open. Stay open and realize that kind of settling into who you are and what you're ultimately going to end up doing is going to take some time. I thought for sure I was going to stay in the background and I would just be building websites and just in servitude to other individuals. And it really does take being in the room with other individuals, other people who really love you, who watch you, who have been where you are, and allowing them to pour into you. My second piece of advice that I give all entrepreneurs is don't sit and do it alone. My coach tells me, he was like, please remember, even Jesus had the disciples. Don't do anything without a team, without someone like a trusted confidant whose advice you admire and trust, right? So don't do it alone. And then lastly, my favorite piece, my last piece of advice is give yourself grace. You weren't doing this last week. You weren't doing this last year. Like today is today. And an hour ago is the past. Let it go and don't live in it. Continue to move forward. Continue to embrace the growth and the progress. And know that it will eventually become natural for you. You will eventually settle into what it means to charge a dollar amount that you're not necessarily comfortable saying today. You will grow into whatever that new product is for you. What you think you're going to sell today may not necessarily be what you sell tomorrow. This journey is exactly what it is. It's a journey, right? You are better than you were yesterday, but not as good as you're going to be tomorrow. Make sure you're reading, make sure you're expanding your mind, you're getting good counsel, and just really staying open to the process. So I led with, is this really the good life? There are days where it's really, really, really good. When you feel like you're in your bag and in your jam and when you're in your bag and you're in your jam and you're super productive. When things just feel good and the words are just flowing and the clients are responding and, like you're just producing good work. There are days where it's not that. This morning, I spent hours with technical issues on my computer. There are days where you have an entire list of things that you need to accomplish and a child is sick, a dog destroys something, a family member needs you. And that's okay because it is the good life because you have the flexibility to be able to be there for people. Even though I've only been an entrepreneur for a year and a half, I really do believe that God orders my steps. I have to believe that He put me in this entrepreneurial space so that I could be there for my daughter during a time when she needed me the most. We had a health crisis last summer, and if I had been in corporate America, I wouldn't have been able to be there for her. I wouldn't have had the flexibility of time. I wouldn't have had the ability to be home, to have conversations with practitioners, to be able to drive back and forth to facilities. I wouldn't have had that if I was in corporate America because there's demands and they expect you to be there and there's schedules. There's protocols and rules and requests. There's so many different things. And so if I compare and contrast some of the really bad days that I've had as an entrepreneur, they're still better than some of the best days in corporate America. Do I miss the steady paycheck and the predictable benefits with the cheap deductibles? Absolutely. But there's nothing that beats time freedom at all. There's nothing that beats it. So for me, this is the good life, and I'm going to continue to grow and to progress, and I hope you come along with me. So like, subscribe, click the bell so that you're notified every time I do release a new video, and remember, it doesn't get easier, it just gets different. Talk to you soon.